Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Martha Stamper with the League of Women Voters of the Palatine area. And by area, I mean Long Grove, Barrington, Inverness, Rolling Meadows, Hoffman Estates, and Schaumburg. That's a local league that's a part of a state league that's a part of a national organization that started nearly 100 years ago. When the suffragettes got women the right to vote, then they recognized there was a responsibility for all these new voters to learn about the candidates and the process and the issues so that they could be better voters. We've been doing that ever since for all of our neighbors and community members to make our community better, and this forum is part of that experience. As a consequence, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. And I know that sounds odd, but we are here to support the voters, not the candidates. We don't support or oppose any candidate. We want the candidates all to have their fair shot. This is democracy, and it's up to you, the voters, to decide. So this is your chance to get informed, to ask your questions, to participate in our democracy, and I thank you so much for coming out today. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Vicki Martin, another member of the League of Women Voters of the Palatine area, who will be our monitor this evening. All right, thank you for coming.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be with you this evening to moderate this candidate forum. I'm a resident of Elk Grove Village, so I'm not eligible to vote in this election, and so I've been asked to serve as an impartial facilitator for this discussion as a volunteer with the League of Women Voters. Let me take a few minutes to explain the format and the rules of today's forum. All of the candidates were contacted by mail, email, and phone prior to today. The candidates have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. They are as follows. Candidates have drawn numbers to determine speaking order, and I will rotate this order during the forum. So for example, the first question will be answered by the first, second, third, and fourth candidate. The second question will be answered by the second, third, fourth, and then the first candidate. So every candidate will get the opportunity to address a question first. Every candidate will answer the same question. So all four of them will share their view on every question. We rearranged our script here. Let me see what I did with page 2. Oh, okay. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening question, or for their opening statement, rather. Next, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer questions, and again, 1 minute per question per candidate. And I will repeat the question if necessary. If needed, a candidate may request a rebuttal, but each candidate can have a maximum of 2 rebuttals, and rebuttals will be timed and limited to 30 seconds each. And then at the end, each candidate will have a 1 minute closing statement. We have league members here acting as timers. Wave, say hello. Candidates will be given a 30-second and 15-second warning. So please quickly compose your thoughts when you see the stop button, because we will cut you off. Get the hook. Time limits will be enforced out of respect for each candidate. Questions will be provided by the audience. So audience members, many of you have already turned in questions, and there will be members of the Long Grove Historical Society who have graciously agreed to act as card collectors and greeters for us today. So if you have a question, raise your hand, and they'll be wandering up and down. Just grab a question card, and it will be turned in, and I will get it eventually. We also have, also I would like to ask you to Ask a question that can be answered by everybody. Please do not direct your questions at one individual. Okay, we have league members who are outside of the room who will be vetting all of the questions. They're going to review each question for clarity, appropriateness, and to avoid duplication. We want to get as many questions in as possible, so sometimes we'll take 3 questions that are essentially about the same topic and combine it into one question, okay? So if you feel that your question wasn't answered, it either is because there was a redundancy, it was combined as something else, it was inappropriate, or we may just run out of time. We'd like to ask you to please turn off all your electronic devices, and there's always somebody who doesn't. You know how that is, so don't let it be you. Our form is being taped for the League of Women Voters' use to educate the public. All of the candidates have agreed to this, and if you would like to view today's forum, or if you would like to tell somebody else about it, you can go to lwvpalatinearea.org, which is the League of Women Voters Palatine Area website. It's written on business cards and things over here on the league table. And you can view the videotape, and it'll be available probably by Monday, if not sooner. Please hold all your applause to the end. Do not demonstrate in any way to show favoritism or to show opposition to an individual candidate. There's space outside the room on a table where the candidates have some campaign literature, and they will be available after the forum for you to speak to them if you'd like. As far as the video goes, no candidates may use this video for campaign purposes, either in its entirety or in sections. You may, however, direct people to go to the league website if you would like to spread the word. Okay, so now we will get down to the good stuff. I already have a lot of good questions here. Yes. Certainly. I wanted that myself. Okay, it's been suggested that we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent idea. All right. This evening we're going to hear from 4 candidates hoping to represent the Long Grove community as a trustee. There are a total of 6 trustees, and these 4 candidates are competing for 3 open seats. Once elected, each trustee will serve a 4-year term. With us today and on the ballot are, you know what? I need to write you down the number, in order of number. Excuse me, you were very busy here. Who's going first?
Chris Borowski.
Okay, and who's number 2? Okay. All right, so with us today, we have Chris Borowski, Michael Sarlito, Chuck Nora, and Amy Gabriel. We'd like to thank all of you for your participation tonight and for the effort that it takes to represent your community. Okay, so we will begin with your 2-minute opening statement, and by number draw, Ms. Borowski will go first.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming out this evening. It's great to see everybody here taking such an interest in the future and the rebuilding of Long Grove. I'm Chris Borowski, candidate for trustee. I'm here tonight to ask for your vote on April 2nd. A special thank you to District 96, so Woodlawn, the Village of Long Grove staff, and of course the League of Women's Voters for orchestrating tonight's event. We really appreciate that. I want to recognize Stevenson High School Political Action Club that reached out to us and wanted to join tonight's event, so thanks for the youth of our community for joining us. My wife Lori and I have been residents of Long Grove for, believe it or not, 26 years. We chose Long Grove because it is a very unique environment and a great place to live. We wanted to raise our three boys in an area of low-density housing, great schools, starry nights, wildlife, and a safe environment, and also an area with great, fabulous neighbors. I'm currently serving an appointed role on the board. In the past, though, I have been the secretary, member, and chair of the Plan Commission. I've served a 4-year elected term back in 2003, and also 1 term on the park board. Professionally, I'm the director of sales for an electronics company. It's a pretty good bet. You have about 1,000 of my parts in your cell phones in your pockets, so it's kind of a cool thing. I think Long Grove is a great place to live. It is unique. We've really enjoyed living here. I think you know there's a lot of work currently underway, but there is so much more work that needs to be done. I want to remind all of you that the trustees and the clerk seated in front of you tonight are volunteers. Nobody gets paid for this role. And so that they can no longer say that this is a thankless job, I want to formally thank them for volunteering their service to the village board and working so diligently. I welcome your questions and the opportunity to get to know you.
All right, Mr. Sarvino, 2 minutes.
Good evening. I want to give 3 big thank yous. First to the league for setting this up. Very, very important, critical forum. Second is, oh, she is here. My wife, Marilee, whose support, I wouldn't be up here, period. And third, residents of Long Grove, residents that are here now that turned out in record numbers in 2015 that gave me a gift. And it was a gift of their trust and confidence in being on the board of trustees for Long Grove. What was it like 4 years ago? Well, we ran on 3 things. One, first and foremost, was finances and transparency, strong financial position, and no tax. That was a big issue. Number 2 was developing a strong vision for Long Grove, where Long Grove is going. And third, probably more important than anything else, was better communication, two-way communication with the residents. So how have we done so far? I got to say, the first 2 months in the spot, I was the liaison to the Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals, and we were peppered with all sorts of opportunities for everything from apartments, townhomes, that sort of thing. And a question came up over and over, well, what does Long Grove want? What do the residents feel? There was a big gap in terms of the understanding of what we want. So 3 things started right then and there. First, we declared a moratorium on development. Second, we launched a village-wide survey to get into the site and understanding what people want. And third, we launched the first update of the comprehensive plan. Hadn't been updated since 1999. As a result of that, water is being installed, roads are being fixed, no taxes continue, incentives for businesses have been brought, and an EDC, first ever EDC, has been launched. I look forward to your questions. I got the stuff.
Mr. Nora, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Thank the League of Women Voters. My wife Wendy and I have lived here for 10 years, and we've got 2 growing daughters. I originally became involved in Long Grove politics about 5 years ago when the past board wanted to walk away from the village responsibility of maintaining their village-owned streets. I don't really have time to explain all of it, but that's why and when I became friends with Bill Jacob and Mike Soletto. And 2 years ago, Bill ran for village president, became village president, and he asked me to sit in to fill out his the rest of his 2-year term. So in the 2 years we've been here, or I've been on the board, we've accomplished some pretty good things. I'm just going to give you a real quick rundown. We're bringing municipal water to the downtown properties. We've started the process of streetscaping. That's rebuilding the roads. We're going to add street lights, sidewalks, to name a few items. We've improved the Long Grove codes and ordinance enforcement process to compel property owners to maintain their properties. We've created, as Mike said, an Economic Development Commission, And I gotta say, 100% of that credit goes to Mike Soletto. And then we're also in the process of reviewing the village permitting process, because we want to try to make it easier for our residents to understand when they need to pull a permit, why they need to pull a permit, as well as, and I'm going, and make the inspection process as easy as possible. And I'm about to lose my time, so thank you.
And Ms. Gable, please.
Hello, my name is Amy Johns Gaten. I'd like to thank all of you too for showing up tonight in the League of Women Voters. I am a wife of David and mother of Alexandra and Nicole, 14 and 12 over there. We came here from Mayfair area of Chicago 6.5 years ago, officially moving on the last day before winter break, 12/21/12, a very auspicious day for more than just me. In Chicago, I was lost in a crowd, missing a sense of community outside of the kids' schools. The difference here in Long Grove is that my life is the community, and I couldn't be happier. We believe in giving back by donating our time and abilities within the community. My husband is the president of the Long Grove Lions and the treasurer of the HDLGBA. I have been village clerk since July 2016, a Long Grove Lion, board member of the Long Grove Historical Society, and recipe coordinator for Long Grove Living. Please send me some recipes. Dave and I both went through CERT training, and as of last year, I am now the one who inserts and retrieves the CERT pancake breakfast signs in Long Grove. If you have a great location for one, please let me know. Apologies for the shameless plugs, but it takes a village, and I love this one. I have thrown my hat into the ring for many reasons. Outside of my family, being involved in my community is my raison d'etre. I work and play well with others. I have proven attendance record. In nearly 3 years, I have missed 5 meetings while celebrating holidays with my family, including my 50th birthday. I have time during the day to be in near Long Grove to assist in any way that I can on village matters, easing the burden on the current trustees who shoulder the daytime duties, even on a last-minute basis. I've been observing for nearly 3 years, and I would like to have a voice at the table, not only for myself and my family, but for all residents, those I already know and those I have yet to meet. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, now we're going to go to the actual questions for our forum. For most residents of the northwest suburbs, when you talk about Long Grove, you mean the historic downtown district. While several of the longtime businesses remain and some new ones have opened, many of the most prominent buildings are now empty. The downtown Crossroads is entering its 2nd year of road construction. What is the most important thing you specifically would suggest to support the businesses of the historic downtown and to attract new business? Nope, sorry, this is for Mr. Sirleaf.
I didn't know.
Okay, good.
I should.
Historic district. I think over the last 4 years, when I think about what the Crossroads, well, first of all, the Crossroads, in my view, is the optical barometer of prosperity in Long Grove. When people talk about Long Grove and the decline that they've seen over the years, they're principally talking about the Crossroads area. And I think that's why a majority of our spend, when we think about the spend that has been made over the last 3 years specifically, we've tried to straddle fiscal calendars to get projects and continuity in all the projects to get everything executed. It started 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, with the first water installation. Water needed to be installed before the streets before the streetscape. So there's a whole cascading plethora of projects that have been planned for this village now for going on for 4.5 years. We're mid-stroke. This is a big year. Oh, stop. This is a big year for the changes and turning that corner. Thanks.
All right, Mr. Nora, you have one thing.
Thank you. As Mike said, the downtown area is really the bellwether of Long Grove. It's not going to be the deciding factors to Long Grove's financial success going into the future. We have many other areas within the village that we can attract businesses and encourage more economic development. However, until we get that downtown prosperous and looking like it did 20 years ago, we're going to struggle to attract new businesses. I'm very proud of what we've done so far. We do have a lot of work to do to get this accomplished. And to any downtown business owners who may be in here, hang with us. I know it's a mess right now, but I believe by the end of the fiscal year 19 and 20, we'll be looking like a completely different village. Thank you.
And Ms. Gill.
I too think that once the changes happen in downtown, it will kind of all come together itself. I know, there are a lot of us in the community that supports these businesses, and as Chuck had said, there are other places that we can be developing businesses. Of course, they have to come. We can't wave a magic wand and they show up. But we will continue to support our businesses and
Good. I guess, all right. And Mr. Borowski.
Thank you. I'm not sure I agree that it'll all just come together by itself. I think that this board has been very collaborative in working with the financial resources it has, as well as the downtown business owners, to really drive some change in downtown. I think that project does need to be completed, and it does need to be the anchor. We do need to give the merchants down there the streetscape they need and deserve, and after that, I think we need to work with them to try to get the right business mix down into the downtown area. But for me, Long Grove is a very long grove of trees with a lot of residents. It's about the 8,000 people who live here. So we need a downtown that's vibrant. We also need a community that's vibrant, and the residents are very proud to live here. And we also make Long Grove a more desirable place for newcomers to come into the area.
All right, our next question, we will start with Mr. Nora. Mr. Nora, are you for or against expanding video gaming in Long Grove?
It's a very good question. I am conditionally for expanding it, but I am not for passing an ordinance to allow video gaming to go everywhere within the village. I think right now we've got video gaming in the downtown that has helped the downtown businesses tremendously, but we have to be very careful with how we go about doing this. So the way I see it is we have to take video gaming expansion on a case-by-case basis. There are a couple businesses that have come to us recently. They want to move into downtown. One of the things they feel they need to be economically viable is to have video gaming. So we have to be flexible in that regard. Thank you.
I too am for it when it is acceptable. I don't ever want to see it, no neon signs ever saying it. I want to see nothing from the outside. But once you go in, then it is there. It has been a boom for many of our downtown businesses, and even Pub 83, and hopefully we will get another business coming into the old Geimer property, and that it was instrumental in her decision to come here. And it is part of her plan. 20% of her business plan is centered on gaming. I never want to see it more than a few games. That's not what this is about. I'd be okay with seeing, I've seen Village Tavern, they have advertised it, but never anything prominent.
Thank you. Generally, I'm not in favor of expansion of video gaming within the community. I do think, though, that there are times when we need to make some exceptions based on the particular use of the business that comes to us And I want to make sure that it's only an ancillary use to the business. So in other words, a very small percentage of it in the right mix, in the right location, in the right place, with the right overall business environment. So generally, I'm not really in favor of broadly spread, but I think we need to look at it on a case-by-case basis, and sometimes where it makes sense, we should allow it.
All right, our next question.
Do I get an answer?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. You're next.
No,
You're right, Mr. Sarlito.
There was a lot of debate on video gaming 4 years ago, and I was decidedly, from a branding standpoint, kid-friendly, family-friendly, was personally against it. What I guess I'm against is if the dollar per square foot revenue generating opportunities for a particular property rely on video gaming, that's where I have a problem. So when a business model comes in reliant on video gaming as distinct from a bunch of other things that could be done in driving either high quality food or high quality entertainment or whatever it might be, I would much rather see those uses for the properties and the square footage in those buildings than video gaming. And back on the last point, the economic barometer thing, 380 comments on the survey. Lion's share of those comments, people reducing to writing, had to do with the downtown, had to do with revitalization, had to do with what they drive through and why it's so important to beef that up. So it came from, and by the way, that was the highest response rate survey that the poll takers had in their entire history. Thank you very much.
Did everybody get a chance on that one? Making sure I'm keeping track. Okay, our next question will begin with Ms. Gayton. All right. What are your thoughts and hopes about the Route 53 120 extension?
This is Mike's question. I know everything I know about this because of Mike.
I get to go first.
Okay, so I am against it as it stands now. I see loss of sovereignty. Most passengers are going east-west. It does not fit with the rural character of Long Grove. I don't see anything positive in it. But 4 years ago, on the survey, there were a lot of people for it. Now, a lot has changed in 4 years. A lot of information has come out. So that may be totally different today, and it may be minimal who here in Long Grove would want it. One of the things that we did this survey, and we paid a lot of money for it 4 years ago. We do communication with the residents, and I would like to see us use that communication to get feedback, to kind of do a new survey on certain topics.
Mr. Borowski?
Thank you. When Lori and I moved here 26 years ago, we were told that the Tollway Authority would start digging the road and it would be completed by the year 2000. We're very grateful that that has not happened and not taken place. To me, putting a road through the vertical length of Long Grove basically separates our community into two pieces. In addition, we end up with a fair amount of, obviously, road noise. We end up with salt spray, and since most of us are on water wells, we also end up with water well contamination from the materials that are coming out of the cars. So I think we need to do as much as we can to avoid the toll road and to work with the region to try to dissuade the regional authorities from moving forward on the project.
I'm a follow the money kind of guy, and particularly with this issue. First of all, it's totally upside down. I poured a lot of time and energy in evaluating this particular project. First of all, in the last bond offering, the footnotes in the bond offering talked about projected growth in traffic. And by the way, the comp plan that I referred to is sitting right over there. If you want to read any of this, we got a chart in there. 15 of 17 arterial roads in Long Grove, for the first time in 40 some odd years, has seen a decline in traffic. There are 3 cars, destination to destination, east-west for every one north-south. The reason why 53 is bolted together with 120 is people believe in the 120, they don't believe in the 53. Now it's Tri-County. The reason why it's Tri-County is we have Kenosha, we have Foxconn, we have a wide variety of other development up in Wisconsin. I got the project managers at the ITA to actually agree that that was contemplated in this last round of stakeholder meetings. If you look at and I'd love to go through the financials with anybody here at any time. Long Grove Coffee Confectionery is a place to hang out. It's a great place to love. Thank you. Yeah, the answer is no. I'm not for the road.
I'm also not for the road. I think this is a road that is being built because, or wanting to be built because of downstate politics and road construction companies. There's absolutely no need for this road. It will bisect our community. All it's going to take is a single major accident, and the wetlands are going to be fouled, and all of our water systems will be fouled as well. The state has no money to pay for this road. What they don't want to tell everybody in the state is everyone's taxes are going to go up to try to pay for this debacle, for lack of a better term. And we will continue to fight against 53 as long as we possibly can and as long as we need to.
All right, our next question.
Can I rebut that?
Yes.
Okay, there's just more stuff I want to say. Okay, this is $3 billion. There is not one penny of this $3 billion, or $2.8 billion, devoted to secondary road infrastructure. Unions are for it because it's a big project. Even if it was convened today, it will be 10 years before there's any work done on that. We need solutions today. There's a number. Oh, that was quick. Okay, yeah, there's a number of organizations you need to get involved with if you want to learn more about this. Okay. Meet me after the meeting, because there's a lot we can talk about. Okay?
This is topic.
It's tough when you're passionate about an issue. All right, so our next question, we're going to start back with Mr. Borowski. And this is sort of a two-part question, combining a couple of things here. Long Grove has a beautiful rural feeling, lots of green space, woods, wetlands, and conservancy areas. So what environmental challenges does that pose to the village, and would you consider banning plastic bags and plastic straws like many communities in the area, including Oak Park, have started to do?
It's going to take longer than a minute. All right. I serve on SWALCO as part of my job for the village. There's currently a bill down in Springfield that will that will tax plastic bags and also paper bags. It's a 7-cent tax that will generate about $25 to about $33 million to the state. They're going to share some of that money with the retailer. They're going to share some of that money with the SWALCO or the waste agency. Generally, banning plastic bags to me is a very good idea. What I don't think is a great idea is taxing the people of Long Grove even more, or Lake County even more. The straws, I don't know how much utilization there is in Long Grove, so I'm not sure if that even makes a lot of sense or not. I'm sorry, I was some hand gesture back there, apologize. I'm sorry, now I lost my train of thought. So anyway, the plastic bag thing, really we should ban them, but I think the state's going to beat us to it with the tax. And again, plastic straws, I don't really care about. What I do care about is buckthorn and teasel, and garlic mustard, and all the invasive species that our homeowners have to deal with.
I think we have a highly educated resident base. And I'm decidedly, the fact that I'm even up here saying that because I'm being reelected, I'm a politician, it's disgusting to me. I think people informed make good decisions, right? I'm an anti-tax, anti-government intrusion into the lives of people. I think the average resident of Long Grove moved here for that. They like the space. They like the freedom to do what they want to do. They like the privacy. We have RFD and people will fight to the end for RFD. It's a way to anonymously have an address here. There's a lot of pros and cons. But back on the environment, I think the average person in Long Grove is environmentally conscious. And when we educate what we can do and what we can't do to support the environment as a whole, I think that's the best plan as opposed to regulating things.
So I touched on my concerns with the environment, talking about 53. I'm not going to reiterate that. just talk about the plastic bags and plastic straws. It's a placebo. It's people downstate who want to act like they're doing something for everybody. The plastic bags perhaps could be, eliminated. I'm not so sure that our landfills are completely full of plastic bags. The plastic straws, if you actually look into it, there's very little proof that, sea life, marine life is being harmed dramatically by plastic straws. As far as Long Grove is concerned, I don't think we have much sea life here. So I'm very anti-state politicians, as you probably already gathered, and I don't really trust anything that they have to say. But that's my concern is the environment in Long Grove.
I too am concerned about our environment. Personally, I have a big stash of bags in my back of my car, and I kick myself when I forget to bring them into the store. Personally, I don't like straws. I don't need them. I again kick myself when I forget to tell them to not give me one. I don't want to see people taxed. I don't want to see plastic bags in our trees anymore. So yes, I'm against a tax. But the state may beat us to it, and we have nothing to say about it.
All right, our next question. We'll start with Mr. Sarlito. If you are elected as a trustee, what committee do you want to chair and why?
Well, if re-elected as a trustee, I've made a home with the Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals, and I think the work with the comp plan is seeing through Chapter 14. By the way, the comp plan is here and the resident survey with all the details, if you'd like to read it, okay? But I'd like to see things through. For me, that's very, very important. There are a lot of things that changed in that plan. And think about the plan. The plan is a rudder for the village. It kind of directs where the ship is going. The fact that it hadn't been updated since 1999, we did not reflect in there the TIF. We didn't reflect in their water changes. There were a number of things that were not reflected in that plan. It was originally proposed to just be an economic development plan revision. So it got you were there, soup to nuts change. It took 2 years to do that. And where did we start? We started with a survey of the community. Some of that process worked well, some of it didn't work so well. But the fact is we got a revised comp plan. And that is important in terms of architecting the future. So Plan Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Economic Development Commission.
Okay, I was going to say re-elected, but I was actually appointed, so I guess this is my first election, so to speak. Currently, my job on the board is to handle things like zoning, codes, ordinances, enforcement of those, permitting, things like that. I've got a background somewhat in construction, so I'm very comfortable dealing with these types of issues. And quite honestly, I'm very comfortable staying there. However, if Mr. Jacob wants to reassign me to something else, he's the boss, and I will absolutely do what he wants. Thank you.
I think if I was to be elected trustee, I think there's a lot of things that would fit into my wheelhouse. Communications would interest me. I would love to work on the newsletter. I would love to be a downtown liaison. I love the downtown. I would, sustainability would be another one, ecological things. I have a few others, but I was thinking about this earlier. When I had my talk with you, Mike, I came up with a couple others, and I'm not thinking of them right now, but I would do, again, whatever Bill asked me to do.
You could share with Rita.
I could do that. Rita's got such
bunch of hard pathways. I couldn't take that from her. No, that's what she needs to do.
And Mr. Williams.
Thank you. My current committee is basically on the garbage man and the policeman. So those are my main predominant roles right now serving on the board. I kind of like being the garbage man because actually I've learned a lot about the entire recycling and the trash disposal process that I've never known before. And it's really been kind of interesting and fascinating for me, and I've kind of developed a little bit of passion for it. My colleagues yesterday, or the meeting the other night, caught me saying my landfill when I referred to the Wayne County landfill. So growing a little bit of passion there. I can tell you this, I don't want the job that Ann Kritzmeyer is doing in the Finance Committee. Even though I'm an engineer, I know numbers, I can do trig and calculus and all that, but I am not very good with financial formulas. So I really appreciate that job that she's doing, and that's one position that, Bill, you don't need to put me in. Thank you.
All right. Next question, we begin with Ms. Nora. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, here's a question that I'm going to assume that you all are going to understand what this means. Did Long Grove issue TIF bonds under the prior administration? And if so, who bought them, and are they current or in default?
Yes, Ann.
And can you answer this question for me?
Me too.
I believe the TIFs were floated well before the last board. I want to say sometime around 2008, but anyone in the audience is free to correct me. I would say that we're not insolvent, but right now we really need to see some of those TIF investments pay off. We're working very, very hard to improve the downtown areas, which I think will increase the property taxes, which is really where the payoff for the TIF is going to come from. So whoever answered or asked that question, very good question. Thank you.
Totally agree with everything you said. I know Annie brought up the other day, there is no money in the TIF. We can't put anything more into it. We need the TIF to pay off. We need the improvement in valuation on the properties that are in the TIF. And I don't know what more I can say about that.
Actually, I don't know who bought the bonds. That was done before I joined the board 2 years ago, so I'm not sure who bought them or any of that immediate history. We do have financial projections that, again, Trustee Kritzmeyer has worked very hard to explain to us and lay out. The TIF itself is currently structured, may break even at its conclusion. We're hopeful that's the case, but of course we don't know what's going to happen in the next 13 years or so between now and then. So we're hopeful that the downtown will regenerate and rebuild itself so that the TIF fund will pay off and that we can kind of extract some of the money that Village of Long Grove has invested in it.
I'll do my best, Ann. Okay. We have a spreadsheet that we use to kind of monitor the TIF. And this spreadsheet, if you can envision all of this area as red. And this little box right here is black. By the year 2032, if we're lucky, and all these projects go through, all these development projects go through at the times as we march towards 2032, if they come through, we have a hope that we're at break even by 2032. As part of the EDC, I thought you had a question. As part of the EDC, one of the first priorities we set up was analyzing the TIF. And we got into the EDC group a TIF expert, Mina Hall, and she's also a siting expert. And in her opinion, extending time-wise the TIF is the wrong thing to do, but potentially extending the area of the TIF and what it controls may be an option. So we're working on it as part of the EDC and working very closely with Trustee Kritzmeyer. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, this is going to be our last question from the audience because of time constraints. And I just want to say to the audience that I have probably 12 more questions here that I could ask, but we're not able to get everything in, and it's really a credit to your community that everybody is so interested and so well informed to come up with so many good questions. We've tried to pick the ones that seem like hot button issues. Okay, so our final question, we are going to begin with Ms. Gayton, yes, okay, and this is also a two-parter sort of. The Village of Long Grove levies no municipal property tax. With limited funds, how would you spend the village's revenues to benefit the most residents, and how do you generate more revenue for the Village of Long Grove?
Could you repeat that question?
The Village of Long Grove levies no municipal property tax. With limited funds, how would you spend the village's revenues to benefit the most residents, and how would you generate more revenue for Long Grove?
Okay, how would we spend the revenues? I would say the way we are now, we have a very limited budget, and we have very limited infrastructure to cover. So, and how to raise revenues? Definitely not by taxes. That's not my thing. And not by getting more gambling. The ETC. I think they are a wonderful group of people who have come up with some great ideas, and let's hope that some of these can be put into practice, and we can bring in. And then again, I think too, we will be getting more businesses once we have everything looks beautiful.
Okay, Mr. Borowski?
Thank you. First of all, I want to mention and just remind everybody that the tax money that we do get from outside of Long Grove is very, very limited. I can't tell you, this board, the village manager, the staff members, all work really, really diligently to make sure that we're spending that money very efficiently. A lot of discussions about nitpicking things where other communities will just go ahead and spend things. So first of all, our budget's limited, but this team is very collaborative, and they work very hard to make sure we're not spending any of that money foolishly or needlessly. So I want to commend all of them on that. It's really, really impressive. In terms of new generation, I was on the plan commission at the time we brought the Menards facility into this village. As it turns out, that's one of the top 3 selling Menards in the area, and it generates phenomenal tax revenue for us. So we need to make sure that we are looking for opportunities where we can bring other businesses into the downtown, as well as into the other areas that are still open and available, and where they make sense, so that they don't impose too much burden on our residents, but yet generate revenue.
So in 2013, actually my campaign to become a trustee started in 2013 because I was working on fighting the first ever tax in Long Grove, and that was defeated 80 to 20%. Second was an initiative to blanket the village with a backdoor tax known as an SSA. That was defeated 79 to 21, whatever it was. We are a non-home rule community, which means who you elect here and the president can't impose a tax without you saying it's okay. I would never give up. Everyone, and I'm a resident too, I would never give the power to tax to this body. We're one of the few organizations left that is not able to tax. In the survey, and I'll point right to the survey, 80% would cut services before they raise taxes. They would, number one response was 82% said no new taxes. And new commercial development was the number one answer by the residents of Long Grove in a 42% response rate survey. So that's what gets to the barometer, the crossroads for businesses and everything else. Thank you very much.
Okay, can you give me the first part of that question again, please?
The Village of Long Grove levies no municipal property tax. With limited funds, how would you spend the village's revenue to benefit the most residents, how do you generate more revenue for Long Grove?
Okay, so as we said earlier on, I think everyone at this table believes that the key to a vibrant Long Grove is to have that downtown revitalized. Once that gets revitalized, and we know we've got a number of businesses that want to come to town, that's where we're going to start generating the income we need. Like Trustee Serletto, I'm absolutely against any type of municipal property tax. Every one of us in this room is taxed way too much to begin with. So we've got two choices, right? We either have to cut everything back, or we have to come up with some economic development plans. We're taking the second path. And I think we're really doing a good job at this point, and everything we've been doing right now has been investing to reach those goals. Thank you.
All right, now,
I want to rebut that.
all right,
Not really.
30 seconds.
I know.
Right, okay. So what's of most value to property owners? Long Grove residents is the property. So property valuation, how do we achieve property valuation? It's all the things that we talked about. The economic barometer and the crossroads is key to that. Number two is the schools. That's driving our property values. So if we don't use those two as the way to drive economic prosperity, that's the best way to distribute the wealth to the entire population of Long Grove residents. Thank you.
All right, now it's time for our closing statement. Each of you has 1 minute to make your closing statement, and we will begin with Ms. King.
Out of college, I worked in the high-stress world of finance, and I learned plenty in that pursuit. Motherhood has taught me so much about myself and others. It has also brought me an even more diverse skill set for some reason. Our very own Maria Rodriguez wrote a great book called Run, Jane, Run. We Need You in Office. She wrote of the skills acquired as a mother that translated to being an effective leader. Supervision, conflict resolution, organization, priority setting, teamwork, coaching, project management, preventative maintenance, fundraising, and product development. I'm so proud of the development of my 2 products sitting in the audience there tonight. Now that they don't need me as much anymore, I would like to focus on using my skills and my time in assistance to another of my loves, this village. I thank you for your consideration.
Mr. Borowski,
Oh,
1 minute.
I just thought we were going to go that way. My closing statement tonight is very, very short. First of all, thank you again for coming out. I'm going to again ask you for your vote. We do have business cards outside. If you'd be kind enough for us to put a road sign up in front of your house, we'd welcome that opportunity. Grab a business card, call me or email me, and we'll put one up. Mike, Chuck, and I are deciding to run kind of on a ticket because we are the incumbents. And normally I wouldn't have done that, but I think truly that we've got some very, very good teamwork right now going on the board. It's a very hands-on board, very involved, and quite frankly, I think we've been pretty successful in the efforts under the leadership of Bill. So again, thanks for coming out tonight, and make sure you vote and have your neighbors and friends vote as well.
It would be a privilege and an honor to be reelected or to get your trust to stay in this spot. There's so much that I just envision that I want to implement. There's so many plans between EDC, right on Route 53, implementation of comp plan, so many different things that I think this is just a wonderful place to live. I'm very passionate about the village. And I'll live here for a very long period of time. I ask for your vote, but more importantly, I ask for your trust and your confidence in me. Thank you.
And finally, Mr. Nova.
I'm running for election because I feel the current board is on the right path to turn Long Grove around. All 6 trustees bring different sets of skills to the board, and although we don't always agree on how to get from point A to point B, we all have one common goal, and that's to improve Long Grove in ways that will have a positive impact for years to come. While the current board has made great strides over the last 2 years, there's still a lot of work to be done, and it is vital that this board maintains its current makeup. I urge you to vote for trustees Mike Serletto, Chris Borowski, and myself so that we can continue to improve Long Grove in ways that will make all residents
will close. I want to thank the candidates again for their participation tonight and for your willingness to serve. We'd like to thank all of you for attending. Obviously, we would not have had a forum without a wonderful engaged audience like we've had tonight. The candidates will be available here in the gym or in the gym next door if you'd like to talk to them and address some of the questions that we weren't able to get to tonight. And again, in the next few days, you'll be able to watch the video of tonight's forum, courtesy of this gentleman here, at lwvpalatinearea.org. And once you get to the homepage of the website, up the top you'll see a place to click that says 2019 forums. So be sure to share that information with all your friends who weren't able to be with us tonight. We'd also again like to thank the school for their assistance with this and the Long Grove Historical Society ladies and all my girls from the League of Women Voters. So thank you all again.